How was that? That's people meowing on.
Welcome to Cats on Guard. It's the podcast with pilots sharing secrets from behind the cockpit door. With over 40 years combined experience, we've got stories from the sky, on the road, in hotels, restaurants, theme parks, ballparks, beaches, and more. I'm MC Howe. I have over 25 years in aviation. I've been a pilot, a flight instructor, I was even a stewardess.
And I'm Captain Richard. I've been flying for a little under 20 years, and you can't say stewardess.
Oh, I can say it. I lived it.
It's flight attendant.
It's Cats on Guard.
That's right. If you've ever wondered what really goes on with the flight crew, the cabin crew, among passengers, we're going to tell you.
Or maybe you're here because you're curious about a career in aviation. You think, I could do that, but what's it really like? If that's something you're thinking about, we've got answers. We live the day-to-day, the glamour, the glitz.
The 4 a.m. wake up.
Yeah, we're the Cats on Guard.
We're not cats.
Well, then why is it called Cats on Guard?
Be careful out there.
Let me ask you this question. When you go to work and you meet another pilot and you guys are getting to know each other, do you find sometimes the conversations are somewhat limited to very specific topics?
You're always restricted on day one. Always.
Yeah. Three things that come up a lot: airplanes, motorcycles, and guns. And I have zero interest in any of those things.
Oh.
Yeah, it's true.
You have no interest in airplanes, and you're a pilot.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like I knew that this was a lifestyle that I could live, and in order to do it, I had to become a pilot. So I did that, but no, I could care less about airplanes.
So if somebody points out and goes, "Hey, that's a Challenger 300,"
I'll say, okay.
You don't care.
Yeah, if that's what you say it is, I believe it.
I've flown with you people before.
Yeah, I can't identify airplanes, even as long as I've been doing this. Some, obviously ones, yeah, but, Challenger from a whatever, I don't know. It's a plane. It's got, okay, good. No, so I had a trip one time. I was going down to Orlando, Florida. And our hotel that we stayed in was right next to SeaWorld. And right next to SeaWorld was SeaWorld's little water park. Not so little a water park. And I thought to myself, how fun it would be. Like, that's why I had kids. One of the reasons I had kids is because I needed playmates, because I really dig that kind of stuff. But when you spend most of your adult time in a world where airplanes, guns, and motorcycles are topmost on your partner's mind, they don't really bring up the fun activities that I would like to partake. Anyway, I'm flying with this guy first day out. Never met him before. And we got along good. He seemed like a fun dude. And we're getting down to toward Orlando, and he gets really excited all of a sudden. He goes really say, "Hey, you know what they got down there? They got that water park. We should go to that water park." I said,
a grown man is excited about water slides?
Yeah,
sounds like it's going to be a fun trip.
He was like 10 years older than me, and I was blown away. I was like, yes, that's what I was thinking we should do. He said, let's go. So we did. We got to the hotel. We walked across the street to the water park. And
in a bathing suit?
Yeah.
With a towel?
No towel.
No towel?
No, because you're in Florida, and you're going to go from one slide to the next. You ain't going to take time drying off. Okay. And it was so fun. It was so much fun. So it occurred to me that we have done a lot of different fun things over the years. I have. I imagine you have. Do you have any fun layover stories that you could share? Would share?
In 17-ish years of professional aviation, I have hours and hours of stories, but I can pick a couple if you want to hear a couple.
I sure do. I think we'd all like to hear that, because it's not all just reading manuals and studying for your next check ride, is it?
No, I tend to view. I have 4 children at home. They're young. None of them are teenagers, and I tend to view my work time layovers, overnights, as my me time.
Yeah,
I do that on company time.
Yep.
So I enjoy fishing a lot. And if for those of you that have kids at home that fish with you, fishing by yourself and fishing with your kids is two completely different activities.
I can imagine.
So my cargo job, which I did for, I don't know, 15-ish years, um, I was known as an adventure captain by my
Oh,
fellow crew members. There was always an adventure I was planning whenever we knew where we were going to go. And if we didn't know where we were going to go, we were going to make an adventure of it. So let's see, South Texas, Brownsville, Texas, I believe, is in
I've
the
heard of
Gulf of
that.
Mexico. South
Yes.
Padre Island is what everyone's heard about. It's
Okay.
a spring break destination. So we landed Brownsville, Texas, and it was pretty late at night. I said, everybody, if we get up at a reasonable hour, we can go on this fishing boat out of South Padre Island, and we can all go fishing together on a boat. So I'll drive everybody, and whoever's going will go. And I carry a cooler with me when I was doing cargo. So we had drinks in a cooler, and everyone had a backpack with snacks and sunscreen, and then we all went fishing together. That was cool. We caught a lot of fish, little fish, nothing big. But they have this thing called, it's like you catch, we cook at these restaurants on the
yeah.
water.
Yeah.
So we have pictures of the four of us. So our crew on the 727 was a captain, a first officer, and we have a flight engineer, and we had a loadmaster. So there was a 4-person crew. So all
Okay.
4 of us were down. We're going to do this. So we went down there. We got on the boat, caught all these fish, and then we asked the guys, "So what do we do with this fish? We're from out of town. We don't have a place to go cook this or fillet this. Just don't worry. We'll cut it up. We'll give it to you. You go down to Johnny's or whatever the place was down the street, and for $10 a head, they will cook all of your food, and they'll give you a side dish and some fries and drink, and they'll cook it all for you." So we did that for dinner. So
That's
they cooked
fun.
up, oh gosh, I think it was like 12 pounds of fish they cooked up for us.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
they
a lot of
brought it out.
fish.
Big platter in the middle of the table, half of it fried, half blackened, and then everybody got a side of veggies and some fries, and we just went to town. We had the best day.
So it's not all work, is what you're saying.
Well, if you make it that way, I mean, we have people called slam clickers. That's the
Yeah.
nickname for those people that they just don't want anything to do with society when they get to the hotel.
I'm that sometimes, quite often.
Sometimes.
Actually.
It depends on compatibility.
Oh, it so depends on that. The older I go through waves, actually. I will go through a wave as a slam clicker, and then I'll be like, I haven't been out in the world in a while. It's time to explore. And sometimes I'll do that. I'll just go out and I'll wander, and I don't have a
Alone?
plan. Yeah, usually,
Okay.
because I don't always have you with me.
Well, tell me that one of your fun overnight stories involves somebody else.
Oh, yeah. Well, all my fun ones do. Well, I did. I'll tell you one. I'll tell you a fun one that did involve me. I was down in Tampa. This was alone. Now, I did invite my co-pilot. I did invite him. He didn't come with me, and he kicked himself when I told him what I did. I was down in Tampa, Florida in August, and it's hot. I don't know if you've been in Florida in the summertime. It's really hot. Right around the corner, right next to the airport, in fact, is the New York Yankees spring training complex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, it's August though, so spring training's long over, and the Yankees have gone to New York, but they have a minor league team that plays there all year long, and they had a game that day. So I had an interest in going to see the game. And, well, I looked at the tickets online and just see, they were like $10 for the game. Single A minor league ball, like very lowest level of baseball player at the professional level. So $10. And I thought the game was later in the day. Turned out the game started at noon. I got to the hotel. We finished, it was an early day. We finished at about 8:00. I'm in the hotel. So I look it up. Game's going to start at noon, but at 9:00 for $45, you go to the stadium, you go onto the field, and you take batting practice.
No way.
Oh, way. So,
What'd you do?
well, first of all, it's not just batting practice, but then you get to have all you can eat in the fancy stadium club level,
Very nice.
where all the VIPs go. So I walk in there, and would you believe, as soon as I get there, now it's Florida in the summertime. So what happens down in Florida in the summertime every day?
Afternoon storms.
Yeah, except it was 9:00 in the morning.
Oh.
That wasn't a storm. It was rain. And it was just enough for just as we were getting ready to start batting practice. And there was probably 100 people that were doing this. So we all got lined up. We're all down in the dugout, which was pretty cool. And you could feel the door to the team clubhouse was open, and you could feel the air conditioning
Yeah.
just gushing through this open door. So everybody was like, just how close to this we get? Well, then the rain came. They said, we better bring the tarp out, put the tarp on the field because it's raining.
Oh.
And so that was like, I don't know, 40-minute delay maybe. And we all went inside the little clubhouse there, not where the team gets ready for the game, but where they were serving the food, and waited out the rain. Then the rain ended. Now this is the best part. They had the tarp to protect the field during the rain. The rain ends. They take the tarp off the field. And then the sprinklers came on.
Isn't that? Yeah.
But batting practice begins, and there is every age group. There's kids, there's moms, dads, anyone you can imagine is out there. It was so fun. And everybody got about 7 pitches, I think. And they had a rack of bats you could grab. I had a wooden bat in my hand, and I never really used a wooden bat because I played minor league baseball as a kid. Not minor league, little league baseball.
Okay.
Kid league. And I was a terrible hitter, by the way. First time I ever faced a real pitcher, 10 years old, he hit me in the head.
All right.
First pitch thrown. So after that, still to this day, afraid of the ball. But I was ready to go. I had a wooden bat like the real players wear. You use these wooden bats, and I was ready to get up there and swing away. And there was this guy who went ahead of me, and the guy was just talking like he'd never seen baseball before. I'd never heard of baseball. I don't know why I don't know if he was legit or not. He's like, so what do I do? They're going to throw the ball and I swing this. What is this called? And I tried it. And so he gets up there and he is hitting them all over the stadium. I mean, if anybody should have been playing the game, it was this cat, right? So I don't know if he was legit or not, but I said, give me that, because I went after him. I said, give me that bat you just used. And for the first time in my life on an actual baseball field, I hit the ball and it went all over, and I felt really good. And it was probably one of my proudest moments. I was on an actual Major League Baseball field, same dimensions as Yankee Stadium. Of course, I didn't hit it out, but I hit it. And then I went into the outfield and shagged fly balls. I could have gotten back in line and hit some more, but I did so well the first time I didn't want to ruin it.
All right.
So, and then we ate. Then the game began, and of the 100 people that were there for the batting practice, you figure it's an 11,000 seat minor league stadium. 100 people stayed for the game.
Oh.
I felt really bad for the players, but
yeah. But we have a low level minor league baseball where I live, and some nights, Friday night, fireworks night, a lot of families turn up. But if you go to a Tuesday night game, yeah, it's a few hundred.
Yeah. Well, I figured it was like 100 degrees Sunday. I think it was a Sunday morning. So
that's really cool. How did you find out that this was going to happen?
I knew the game was going on because I went
through the batting practice.
Well, that is just by happenstance, because I looked up the ticket prices. And I wanted to see what time. I knew there was a game that day. I looked up to see what time and how much does it cost. And then there was this little special offer. I said, what's this? Clicked on that. I said,
perfect.
If I leave right now, I can walk over there in 45 minutes and do it. And I invited the FO and he turned it down. And then when I got back and told him, he's,
News you lose.
That's it. So see, I'm not always a slam clicker. Sometimes I include my friends.
Oh, yeah. It's nice of you to offer at least. You got to check compatibility with who you're flying with before you do that.
Exactly.
Day one, you can sort that out. I always offer to go to the sporting events to the other pilot. The offer's always open because, how bad can it be? You're not there to talk the whole time. You watch the game. I
can usually tell in the first 2 minutes how well I'm going to get along with a guy. I don't know about you. 2 minutes, huh? Usually. Yeah. Things have gone pretty sideways over 8 to 10 hours, personally. That can happen. Yeah. Yeah. I find that day one is like the restricted day. Yeah. And
by day 4, some wild stuff comes out of these people's mouths.
Really?
I mean, you haven't
Oh,
had like the fourth
oh
day
my,
surprise, like, oh my God, you
oh
really think
yeah,
the Earth is flat? Like,
oh yeah, oh yes, I have had exactly that guy. But
oh,
I guess that's what makes it fun, keeps it interesting.
yeah. Yeah,
So
actually, one of the last trips I flew when I worked where you were at, it was like a day 1 comment. I can't, boy, I wish I could recall the comment right now, but I really looked over and said, really? Day 1? We're going to go that far?
yeah.
And he said something to the effect of, what? Like, what's the matter? I said, usually people wait till day 2 or day 3 before they get to the really wild and crazy stuff.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh,
he felt very comfortable with you.
no, that must be. I'm a pretty even keeled person.
Yeah.
I like hearing every angle and every story, even the ridiculous angles of it.
Well, and then you got to get people away from the work environment to really get them to shine. So you certainly must have had your share of that as well.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool when you kind of trying to figure out, like you said, motorcycles, guns. Like, hey, you like cars? It's just this like random litmus test of who you're. Actually, I heard a really cool litmus test for figuring out who you fly with.
What's that?
I'm told that if you just look at the other person and say the word California,
Oh,
that the reaction will give you a good litmus test to who you're talking to.
is that right?
And it's not really political. It's just a litmus test. And it feels political because whenever you say California, right, you think like, well, there are people that hate California for
Yeah.
political reasons. But if you say California to the person, they go, oh, I was just surfing out there in San Diego, or oh, I go to Lake Tahoe, or
Uh huh.
well, then you got a baseline for travel and tourism and adventures and hiking and such. Or you say California and they go, ugh. You
Yeah.
go, oh, all right, I know what's going on. I know what's
Oh, I
next, right?
can't wait to try that tomorrow.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's the easiest thing.
Yeah. So do you have a California story?
I have lots of California stories, but I almost died in California overnight.
Oh,
At least I thought I was going to die. So I was with this chick, and she's a vegan and she's got a system. So she won't use leather for her flight bag. She uses a hemp bag. She's very,
that's very
uh,
California.
yeah, very California, right? So very nature,
Uh-huh.
hiking, outdoorsy. So we land in Van Nuys, California with a cargo plane, and this nose wheel steering breaks. So the plane is broken on the spot. I can't go anywhere. So company's gonna send mechanics. They're gonna send parts. They're gonna fix it. It's gonna be days. Get a hotel. Get a rental car. She says, let's go to the coast and let's hike along the ocean. Sounds like a great idea. So we go down there, and then there's the normal way where all the people are, and then there's this kind of hole in a fence, a big sign that says "Do not go down here."
I know where you
Yeah,
went.
come on, Captain. Come on, Captain, come down here. We'll just go this way. So okay, sounds good. So we go down this hole and this trail, and we get down, and wow, there's nobody on this beach. It's beautiful. There's a big cliff, and there's caves, and there's sea urchins, and there's sea kelp waving back and forth in the waves. And there's tide pools and wildlife. It was surreal. It was absolutely one of my lifetime memories of nature.
And then Bigfoot came out of one of those caves and gobbled her
No,
up, and you had to
no,
no. Oh,
we walked along the hard sand. It was like this was northern LA, I think. Anyway, so we walk along, and we get caught up in the tide pools, caves, looking at all the nature. And time has flown by. It's now been an hour or two, and we look back to go up the path that we came to, and well, the tide has come up, and it has trapped us
oh no.
on the side of a crescent-shaped cliff. And now the waves and the water has come up past the beach and is crashing waves against this cliff, and we're on the other side. We can't see the spot we came from
Oh
without
dear.
without going swimming. So uh,
I can just
the
I'm envisioning your toes, your little tootsies getting drenched as the tide comes
oh
ever so
I was
closer to just grabbing you and pulling you down.
exactly, that's how it felt, and I was in shoes. I shouldn't have been, but I was. Well, we got to the point where the waves were crashing to the cliff. We have to get around the other side of this curved cliff. If you can imagine a cliff that kind of shaped like a half moon, and the way up is on the other side of the waves. And I don't know how much water there is between these rocks and boulders that are scattered at the base of the sand by the bottom of the cliff. But the girl I'm flying with, I think she's probably 110 pounds, maybe at most. Super, super small. And she just hops up along the rock wall and just kind of side shuffles along the wall like a rock climber and pops out
Uh-huh.
the other side. And now I'm by myself. Now it's my turn. Well, I get on these rocks, and everywhere that she had put her hands or feet, when I put my hands or feet, I'm quite a bit heavier than her. Everywhere I put my hands or feet, these rocks would crumble, and I'd fall down
Oh
into the
my God.
rocks.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'd fall into these, and the waves were crashing on me, and I kept getting back up, and I said, "Hey, I need a little help. Help me out." And she responds. I could hear her yelling over the waves. "You're doing great. You're doing great." I said, "I don't need a pat on the ass. I need you to tell me how to get out of here." So I get up and I get up in another little crevice and I get my hands in there and then boom, the rocks crumble and I go falling into the boulders and it cuts my leg open.
Oh,
And
oh,
now
geez. Well, this
so now
story took a turn.
I see the blood, the red water just rushing back and forth in these crashing waves. And there's sea kelp and it's the Pacific Ocean. And all I can think of is Discovery Channel, Shark Week.
Yeah.
Because
Oh no.
where do sharks hang out? In the sea kelp.
Yeah, you're
Right.
done. You're gone.
It's like, oh, here we go. So uh,
And
once
all
I hit the wall,
110 pounds of her now has to fish you out of there.
or call the Coast Guard, one or the
Yeah.
other. Well, anyway, I gave up on trying to climb, and I just swam between boulders, between waves crashing down on me, and just head to toe soaked, bleeding, out the other side. And so we'll just deal with this when we get out of here. I just need to get to the other side of this obstacle course. But yeah, California is wonderful if you're looking for wildlife. Just do what everybody else is doing. Just no reason.
Don't go through the hole in the fence that says "Don't go through this hole in the fence." Maybe
you think pilots would follow instructions on signs,
I do
right?
wonder where you were. Like, whose property was that?
Oh, it was definitely just part of the beach below the.
Yeah.
If you know like the west coast of the LA area or California is like these high cliffs just elevated above the Pacific, and there's a steep drop, and so some of those areas are only accessible by boat or if you find these holes in the fence. So I'd have to go look that up, but the nature part of it was beautiful. The almost dying part, not so much.
Well, it reminds me of a time I also flew with a lady pilot who talked me into something one time, and it was fun. But I think let's just say I may be the reason we don't go to this hotel anymore.
Uh-oh.
We were down in Jamaica and we had like 25 hours overnight there, which was pretty rare. Our company never did overnights in places like this. So I don't know why we did, but we did. And it was 25 hours at the all-inclusive resort.
Ooh.
So all food, all drinks, all entertainment, all everything. The only thing that wasn't included, which she decided was a really good idea for us to do, was that they had a snorkel tour.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I dig that. I love me some snorkeling, but I didn't really like the $60 price tag that came with it. And also, it was a 4-hour tour, which seemed excessive. But she talked me into it. So we go down to inquire about it and ultimately buy the tickets. When the lady takes my card, she charges me for both of us. And I say, "Whoa, it's I'm not buying her. I'm not paying for her to go swimming."
Well, that's getting awkward now.
Well, yes, it was. And I actually ended up getting in a fight with this lady, this sports desk lady. She's, "Oh, you have to do this. It's the gentleman thing to do." I said, "I understand. Yes, it is, but we're not like that. We're not together.
This isn't a date.
No, it's not a date. She works for me. In fact, it would be highly inappropriate." And meanwhile, she's just sitting over there like, "Dumbass, just buy the,
I'll pay you back later." Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I had to make a thing out of it. So anyway, we go out on the snorkel tour, which it takes us an hour then to get to the reef, and we get to the reef. And
that's why it's a 4-hour event. Yeah.
Well, no, the first hour, yes, because we had to stop at another resort and pick up more swimmers. And then we get out there and the guy says, "Okay, now this is bad Jamaican accent. This the number 6 reef in the world."
Number 6.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I believe it, and I don't know who's ranking it or what the categories are, but if you're gonna lie, number 6? No,
Good call.
I
Yeah.
think it's number
Oh.
6. I think it was number 6. No, I've been on a lot of reefs around the world. I don't know. It was good. I don't know if it was number 6, but so we do about an hour of swimming, and now on the boat, the $60 gets you not just swimming, but all the drinks you could want on the boat as well.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, it is nice, except when our hour of swimming was over and they made everybody get back on the boat, they then take the boat over to the dock at Jimmy Buffett's Bar and Grill, and they say,
Oh, so they force you to spend money.
yeah, yeah, and I'm like, but if I stayed on the boat, which was an option, drink. And I'm not a
Yeah.
big drinker, but I'm not going to pay to drink when I've already paid to drink. The nice thing
Fair.
was, right next to Jimmy Buffett's, which was right on the water, they had all this like water sports stuff, like water trampolines and water slides and climbing apparatus. So me and this lady girl, we just played on the toys for an hour, and then got back on a boat, and it's again, and now, so that's another hour to get back to the resort. Now, on this final hour is when I really had enough, because they started playing this music, and the crew started dancing on the boat, and it wasn't like, dance fever dancing. It was like they were humping everybody. They were just walking around humping people.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
Yeah, for tips.
cultural. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But I thought, this is not, I don't want to, and there were kids on the boat too. So it's like, I just want to jump off and swim at this point. I'm going to swim back. But we get back. Oh, it was fun though. We went, they had like 5 different restaurants at the resort that we could eat. We could eat at all of them if we wanted to. They had shows. They had all kinds of good stuff. The next morning, I wanted to take a kayak out into now the resort is on this bay, and the water's pretty shallow, and right next to it was another resort that had a bunch of the overwater bungalows.
Yeah.
It's always been a dream of mine to stay in one of those places, but I figured at this point, this is as close as I'm ever going to get to this. So I decided I want to go paddle out and check out these bungalows. But I first have to go down to the sports desk and inquire about getting a kayak. And lucky me, it was the same lady I had gotten into the fight with the day before. Well,
Oh no.
so there's another lady, a guest, who is inquiring about the snorkel tour. And what I hadn't told you earlier is that there are actually 2 snorkel tours. There's the 4-hour, $60 one that we took. However, there's an earlier one that we weren't there in time to do, which is half the time and half the price.
Okay.
Well, this sports desk lady is only pushing the expensive one on this mom, who I can tell she's not down for 4 hours and $60 for her whole family.
Yeah.
So I said, lady, just so you know, there's a shorter, cheaper tour. Oh my God, you would have thought I took the money right. Oh, I took the money right out of her purse. She said, you keep your mouth to yourself. Don't nobody want to know your opinion. You take your kayak and you go.
Wow. Ooh.
Yeah. So I ran out of there. I got to go. Now I got to go down to the sand where the kayaks are. And there's a kayak guy. And I say to the kayak guy, just tell me where I'm not allowed to go. Right.
Oh, I already know.
So he goes, you stay in the bay, don't cross the reef. You can see with the water, you can see it breaking. I can see where the reef is. So very obvious boundaries. I can see it. No problem. Stay in the bay. I won't cross the reef. But I do want to get a look at those bungalows. I want to get as close as I can. Because like I said, this is probably the best I'm ever going to get, right? So I paddle over there. And you would think, once again, I committed some sort of atrocity, because the cleaning crew from the bungalows come out and they started yelling at me for
Doing you off.
Yeah, because I was in their water space, I guess. So
But you can't own the water, man. Nobody owns the water.
Well, it's Jamaica, man. I don't know who owns what. But what I do know is there's a guy paddling back and forth in a canoe, and he's got all this paraphernalia in this thing. It's like, it looks like a shrine to I don't know what. but there's strange wisps of smoke coming off of the thing, and he is just staying like 4 or 5 feet offshore. And I realized he's selling drugs from this
What?
thing, which
Yeah.
apparently, as long as you stay off the beach, totally legal.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I paddled
But you-
past him. Go ahead.
The kayaking up on those bungalows, I could see it. I could see a little bit of privacy issues, maybe, but
Well, okay, maybe.
you weren't
Anyway,
like peeking in windows.
I was not peeking in windows. I wasn't at window level. But I could see from where I was what appeared to be the entrance to a river, like the mouth of a river. And I thought, well, that looks
Ooh.
interesting. I'd like to maybe explore that a little bit. And then I thought, well, I don't know. Guy said stay in the bay. Well,
You've
the
gotten in
river,
enough trouble already.
but the river is in the bay. I'm gonna go see what's there. So I just go down there, and I just went a little ways into it, and I thought to myself, no, I'm going to be the reason we get kicked out of this hotel. And I turned around, and no sooner had I turned around, and I'm heading back out there, chasing me down in a speedboat, yelling at and you get yourself back you're not supposed to be here. You're going to get eaten by a crocodile. Go. So I took that thing, I took that kayak, I dropped it off at the beach. I went right to my room, and I stayed there until van time, and that was it. Now, the room, however, I didn't tell you about the room. I had 3 beds in my room.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it was the orgy room.
in case you just got sick of one, you could transfer to the other.
Yeah, you just bounce back and forth like Mario. There was liquor on the wall. You just hold your glass up and it fills it, like,
wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we don't do that layover anymore, and I don't know if we did it for much longer after. I may have played a role in that, but
So
that
we
was
get
crazy.
we get enough followers and subscribers. We're gonna have to plug in this name so they can pay us for the shout outs.
If I could remember the name. Can you think
We'll get it.
how many hotels do we stay at? Do we even know the name when we're in the building?
I don't think about it. I
No,
just know my
exactly.
room number. How good are you at remembering your room number? Pretty darn good, right?
I'm good while I'm in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, and my mind drops it when I get to the airport.
Yep.
It's crazy. I can do whatever I want for the day, and I can go right back to my room.
Although, full disclosure, I did try to open the wrong door today.
I've done that too.
Sometimes on the wrong floor.
Has it ever worked and it goes in?
Oh, let me tell you about a time. I was back in my stewardess days. We were in Philadelphia. We stayed at a Holiday Inn. We're right where all the stadiums are and the arenas. And I opened the key to the room they gave me. And there's a guitar case on the bed and a bunch of other music. Well, there was a rock band playing a concert at one of the arenas that night. And I obviously got one of their rooms while they were on stage. But I always think to myself, if it had been a couple hours later, who knows what I would have walked in on?
It would have been a party that you walked in on.
Yes, a party for who knows how many. So I missed out on that. But I've had plenty of fun out on the road.
I think we've got a lot more overnights to go over in our stories list.
I think we do. But I think that's enough for tonight, don't you?
I do.
All right.
It's been a good run.
Well, we'll keep having fun. We'll keep collecting stories.
You got to work. I got to work. We got to get back to doing our job.
That's the problem. The job really does get in the way, doesn't it?
I don't know. It's given me an opportunity to podcast with you, so I'll call this.
That's true. Well, Captain Richard, I've enjoyed it.
We'll talk to you all next time.
All right, I'm MC Howe. Come back for more Cats on Guard.